A unique military aircraft that carried out radio-electronic reconnaissance and helped the Russians hit the targets in Ukraine has been partially disabled. It happened in the territory of Belarus at the airfield near Minsk, right under the nose of Putin's helper, Lukashenka. The Belarusian and Russian regimes found themselves in a difficult position of how to save face when strategically important military equipment was damaged in a territory they thought was fully controlled.
There are many assumptions about what might have happened at the Belarusian military airfield Machulishchi on February the 26th. At 8, or according to other sources, 10:30 in the morning, local residents heard 2 explosions. Soon, a large number of military personnel were spotted in the area, and the traffic police became more active. Just after 2 p.m., BIPOL, which unites Belarusian security forces in exile, published the news. A Russian long-range radar detection Au-50 military aircraft was damaged at the Machulishchi airfield. Later, it was reported that there was an explosion. The plane was attacked from the air with the help of drones with explosives. As a result, its front and central parts were damaged.
Those who organized the explosion represent the Peremoha plan. These are the Belarusian partisans who continue the rail war, which started in February-March last year.
There were no official statements from Minsk or Moscow whether the plane was disabled or not. Only 4 days later, Belarusian state television showed the Au taxiing on the runway in the dark. But the authorities in Minsk didn't make any statements regarding this fact. What's more, Lukashenka himself remained silent.
This tells me that Lukashenka really has a problem, how to apologize, how to justify himself to his Russian friends, his elder brother in Moscow, for missing it.
5 days after the incident, it came to light that the A-50U plane took off, left the airspace of Belarus and headed for the 325th Aviation Repair Plant in Taganrog. Everything that had happened before is also significant. Immediately after the damage, there was information about increased checks at the border, including with Russia. Security forces began to monitor comments in social media and visit drone owners to record information concerning the equipment. In addition, some people were detained, at least in Machulishchi, Fanipol and Dzerzhinsk. It looks like panic, but what is so important about this plane?
This aircraft is used to identify the coordinates of Ukrainian air and missile defense, to see how Russian missiles can evade it, and to identify targets that are then struck. When it takes off, it means they start collecting information about military and civilian objects in Ukraine that need to be destroyed.
The A-50U aircraft is capable of determining coordinates at a distance of up to 600 kilometers and costs, according to various estimates, from $330 to $500 million. There are about 6 such planes in Russia, so if they replace it in Belarus, they will lose the remote monitoring system in another area. Losing the A-50U is a big fiasco for Putin and, of course, Lukashenka. But it is unlikely that Lukashenka will receive a slap from Putin for his oversight. His regime remains one of the very few partners of Russia today.
Everything will be done behind the scenes, and strategically both sides will cooperate. Perhaps the control over security of military bases and military facilities will be strengthened.
On the contrary, Russia can try to turn the situation in its favor. The Putin regime can use the version that the plane was blown up by Ukraine to put psychological pressure on Lukashenka and provoke him to join the war directly. Also, we shouldn't expect any noticeable changes in the attitude of the authorities in Kiev to start a dialogue with the democratic forces of Belarus. Ukraine doesn't want to provoke Lukashenka, and the threat to Ukraine from Belarus, with or without an airplane, remains the same. However, the incident itself can have not only military, but also a symbolic significance. This is a signal to the Russians that they can't feel at home in Belarusian territory.